setting the bar high here.
Yeah, you're setting the bar really high.
Well, it's really great to have you here. Maybe we can start with something that we both have in common. And it's actually a specific book that we've read. And it's the Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, how did you like it?
Well, it helped me actually to learn the concepts of asset, building wealth, understanding a bit more what is money like, even though I worked in finance and I still didn't get it before, which is fantastic. And I know that your sister handed you this book when you were 14 years old. So my question is, or maybe you can elaborate a bit more about your background, where you're coming from, and also what made you decide at the age of 14 to become a founder one day?
God. Okay, so how many of you know the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Yeah, so a lot of you guys. When I read the book, I had the feeling that it taught me a lesson that I would probably use every day. Every time I would buy something, I would look at it and be like, is this an asset or a liability? What would Rich Dad do? And I was like, man, this is the secret to success. This is the really basis of what we all need to know about how to, handle our money well. And so when I was 14, naturally, I was like, oh man, this dude is rich. So I was like, what does he do? And then in the book, he started talking about entrepreneurship. And of course, it's different in Germany and with all the benefits they have in America when you're an entrepreneur. But it made me really, be really interested in this topic. Yeah.
And building something. And having
Of course, yeah.
Can you also start, because you're still super young, you're 22 years old. What were some of the first experiences that you gained in the whole tech world and getting involved in the startup scene?
So I didn't get involved in the tech world because I wanted to learn how to code. I didn't do it because I thought Mark Zuckerberg is like my role model. No. I was far from the whole turtleneck and jeans kind of clothing. But what made me start was when I read Forbes magazine or Fortune magazine in school. I was just trying to make my, to better my English. So that's why I started reading into all those things and reading the lists. And every time when I would check up on the first, like the number 1 position in the 500 Fortune 500 list, Warren Buffett would come up. And I was like, what does this guy do? Like, I get Microsoft, I get IBM, but what is Berkshire Hathaway? Like, I always used to look it up. I was like, I still don't get it. Like, investment, okay, what kind of investment? What is investment? What is trading? What is stocks? Like, I was so overwhelmed with all that. Like, I can't be the only one asking these questions. So I started researching online, and I found a group of friends through a program from Telefonica, and they wanted to set up a stock market game. And I said, you guys, I'm interested in helping you because I want to get to know how the stock market works. I want to learn how to trade. I want to buy my first stocks, maybe. Do you need anyone? And at that time, they were 3 people, and they were like, hell yes, we need someone that codes all this stuff. It's like, I don't know how to code, but I'm willing to learn. So that's how I got involved with all the technical stuff. Yeah.
How did you start with teaching it yourself? Did you join some, coding classes? Because when I went to school, there were none classes. Maybe nowadays there's code for girls after school. Or how did you teach it yourself?
Yeah. So at first I was looking for guidance with my teachers. Of course I went and I asked them, hey, can you teach me how to, code in Java, or how to solve that specific problem? And sure, they would answer my question, but they would never do more than that. It was not a mentorship program or anything. I would always have to get up there myself and then ask them these questions, and it would take me a lot of, it would take me a lot of courage every time to go up and ask these type of questions, because they don't take like 5 minutes to answer. So I started Googling, and I didn't find anything in Nuremberg that would focus on young people learning how to code. So I was like, I'm gonna start something myself. I went to a co-working space. I was like, listen, I'm 16, I don't have any money, but I really need a room to meet up with my friends once a week and learn how to code. And I'm like, okay, sounds good to me. We're gonna give you a room. And yeah, with that, I started my own coding class. I was not the teacher, but I invited lots of experts in, and yeah, we became a bigger group. At first we were 5 girls even, and then we turned out to be more than 30, and then I had like coding clubs in nearby cities, and all the co-working spaces like joined in, and then there was Coded Dojo. Yeah, so that's how I got started.
Nice, cool. And also now there are so many like Code Academy online courses, and even I know initiatives, academies, boot camps popping up in every city, which is amazing. What do you think actually is still missing these days? I mean, not only in the educational system, which lacks just making IT and computer programming especially attractive for women.
Yeah.
So I think there's still a gap, but what do you think is still lacking and needs to be improved?
So I think when people say, I want to learn how to code, they think they're gonna end up like, you know, they usually have to be a male, white dude that ends up with no friends in the in the basement. I'm like, that's so not the case. When I got started coding, I got started with Ruby. So that's a programming language where you have almost a 50-50 kind of gender, gender, like women and men are almost the same. And that's a really cool thing, because when I went to these conferences, they were all very open in welcoming me. They had like different costumes on even. They dressed like foxes, or they dressed up as dragons. I was like, where is all this when you talk about learning how to code? Why do we only see those, I don't know, these specific
Stereotypes, right?
pictures of hackers behind the screen all alone when it's a community thing? Yeah. So I think that's missing.
What were some first programs, or also I've read that you coded or programmed a schedule, and also like with Leap, there are so many projects that you were involved. Maybe can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So my first project in school was, well, the goal was to sleep a little bit more in the morning. And I was very determined to make this app work, because I didn't want to go to school and then find out that my class was gonna like be cancelled, and then I would just stand there for 2 hours and not doing anything. So I was like, I want to know beforehand, one day before, I want to know if this class is cancelled. So I coded an app that would upload a very simple PDF version, of course with data restrictions, and you would cover the names, but you would still know what class is cancelled, and that helped me to know in advance if I can sleep through or not. And that was like my breakthrough moment. I was like, man, I coded something that helps me sleep longer in the morning. That's a good thing. Yeah.
Cool. Amazing. Any other projects while you were in school? Because you also attended a couple of conferences there. Like, just tell us a bit more.
So the second project I did was with, it's a program for women that want to learn how to code, they want to change their careers. It's not only for young people, so it's for all kinds of backgrounds. So whether you're in your 50s and you just want to like get to know the tech behind your laptop that you're working on every day, like that's the thing for you. It's called oh my god, Rails Girls, that's the name. And I did that for like 3 months. So I went in, worked as a software engineer, junior software developer for ThoughtWorks, which was in Hamburg. And there I coded on Leap. They have a very complicated, may I say, way of encrypting your emails. And I did a very small part of it. I was very proud. Like that's like one of my things that I'm most proud of because it sounds so complicated. Like when you say encryption and emails, I feel like Snowden when talking about it. But yeah, it took me so long, and I was like working really hard on it with my partner. I would suggest that everyone goes and just starts with the project and learns how to code along the way. Yeah.
I remember, if I'm not mistaken, in 2015 you also got a scholarship from Draper University, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a program or was it just a semester abroad? Because I know like Draper University is like from this famous investor Tim Draper.
Yeah.
But what was that move about, and what did you actually do in Silicon Valley?
Yeah. So Draper University, you have to know, it has the name university in it, but it's not like a university. It's very different from that. When I got into the university at first, they told me that it's a hotel, a 5-star hotel, that got transformed into some kind of a university where people would be invited, like 100 students from all over the world. They would be invited to listen to very famous founders from the Silicon Valley area. And I got really excited about this program through a Facebook ad. This Facebook ad said, hey, you want to go to Silicon Valley? I was like, okay, click on it. Yes, I want to go. And then, of course, I saw that they have this very expensive program, $10,000, I believe it is. You have to pay for going there for 7 weeks. I was like, man, I'm just going to try. I'm just going to see where this leads. So I did, and I got accepted, and I was like, okay, how do I get that money? And I approached Women Who Code. It's an organization for just women in tech roles all over the world. And they said, we're going to give you a grant, we're going to cover the whole thing, it's okay. Like, cool. Yeah, that's how I ended up in Draper University, and yeah, I got to listen to so many cool speakers, like the founder of Instagram or Twitter, or I don't know, Elon Musk even gave us a very own tour of his Tesla company, and it's just crazy. Yeah.
And did you also work on some project there, like building a company, brainstorming with startup ideas, or like what was the program like?
Mm-hmm.
Did you also, because I remember you pitched your own idea or anything like that?
Yeah, so at the end of the 7 weeks, they said we have to pitch our own idea. And I was very reluctant to do that because I knew my friends were like, okay, I'm gonna pitch this app, I'm gonna pitch this service. Like, I don't know what to pitch, I don't have any business. I just came here to get to know and to mingle and to network because I was still very young at that time. And then Tim Draper, the founder of Draper University, said, you know, just think big. Think really, really big. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna think big. What about if I pitch how to implement Hyperloop in Germany? Like, I'm gonna call it Hyport. It was just a joke. I was on stage, I was like, this sounds cool. I'm gonna pitch this. I'm gonna do some research on this for 7 weeks. I'm gonna go and like find out where to build the different stations for Hyperloop, where to like get the customers, how the business plan should be. And I was very lucky through LinkedIn. I got to know a candidate who wanted to write a thesis on it. Like,
timing.
That's a great timing. We should meet up. So we ended up working on a paper together, about 100 pages long, And at the end of the 7 weeks, I would pitch it and be like, this is the perfect way to implement Hyperloop in Germany. And they were like, how much money are you asking for? I was like, you don't have that kind of money. But I'm very happy to network with engineers and people who just want to, just do that with me and find out if it's possible. So through that, Dirk Albon, the CEO himself, he was like, you can work for me. I was like, oh, you want me to work for you?
So this is Hyperloop Transportation Technologies. Then.
Exactly. And I was like, if you want, you can work for me. And then he just sent me over the contract. And I was like, that was easy. That was nice. And I signed up. You can't say no to that, right?
All right. And so did you stay then in the Valley, or
no?
Like how did it continue then?
So with Hyperloop, it's Hyperloop Transportation Technologies. You can work from anywhere. So they have freelance people who work for the company internationally. You can just count in the hours you work for them, and then you get like a percentage of the company itself. A very small percentage, but nevertheless, you get something.
So you're still involved with them? So you're still figuring out how we can implement the Hyperloop in Germany?
I would say the contract is still on, but I'm not working with them anymore. I'm very open to work on different concepts since I've had like my share of the whole scientific part of it, but like I believe somebody else would be better for that role of implementing Hyperloop here. But it was fun to just think big, go for it, and you never know what comes out at the end of the day. Yeah.
I think especially like this thinking big mentality, the American way of just starting something, I think that's still lacking a bit in Germany. I don't know, like, what do you think about the German startup scene, or even though you're based in Nuremberg, but you're always in Berlin, it seems like. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about the status quo of the German startup scene?
Yeah. I'd say I like the way Germans are thinking in a way, because they're very down to earth. They know their numbers. They know what to expect, and very often they meet these numbers even, and that's like the coolest part. But in America or in the US, you'd see that. I mean, it's not a joke. They would literally go up and do this hockey stick growth. And they would stand in front of investors and be like, that's realistic. And then the investors would say, okay, that's not realistic, but I like your idea and I like your attitude. And that's what I don't see in Germany. I don't see people being excited about somebody thinking big. I see them excited about hitting the numbers and stuff, but I don't see them excited about building the next Facebook or something. We're very down to earth. It's okay, but I mean, every now and then somebody needs to have a more inspiring idea to really get people going and to really change something in a meaningful way. Yeah.
Well, to me, you seem like such a person.
Oh, thank you so much.
Also, I mean, because of your background, and Marina mentioned it in the introduction, you gain a lot of traction by media. The Zeit newspaper also dubbed you as Mrs. Code. It seems to me that you're now a little bit shifting to more towards the digitalization topic, and you're like an expert on marketing channels, also working with a couple of corporates. How comes that you're now shifting a bit with the digital scene?
Yeah, it's only through media that the people think I'm shifting, because in the very interview of Zeit, I was like, please don't portray me as somebody who still codes every day, because I don't. That's the reality of it, and I always tell people I'm not a coder in a sense that I'm working on code for 24 hours a day. I don't do this full time, but I respect the people that do. So I don't see the title as very fitting, but it's fine. It has opened a lot of doors for me. So and it certainly has opened a lot of doors when it comes to digitalization. So with my company, Co.design Factory, I think we have a lot of companies that have very promising ideas for new products, services, where I just see myself being able to help with all the insight I have from Silicon Valley, or with all the startups I've worked with so far at the Tech Incubator in Nuremberg. And it's just fun to see it all work out, to learn so many new people in the startup scene, from Bavaria, from all different kinds of, all different parts of Germany, not just Berlin. And I think that's the interesting part. Yeah.
Can you just go one step back and tell the audience what Co.design Factory actually does? Because I think it's interesting. It's not like a normal consulting firm.
Yeah.
It has a different angle,
Yeah.
and also the team who is involved with you.
Mm-hmm. So I started Co.design Factory because I was very involved in the startup community in Berlin, in Munich, in Hamburg even, and I got to know so many interesting personalities there. I was like, I know these professors, these startup experts, these very successful founders we all know, and I want to connect them all, because it has never been possible before to be like, hey, I want the founder of Flixbus to work with the professor of entrepreneurship, I don't know, from this Ivy League university, and I want them to work with, alongside the social media influencer Diana zu Löwen, for example. And with Co.design Factory, that's like, it's possible. We have a pool of very talented people, and you can book them for your project, your idea that you have. We're aiming for bigger companies such as, like, of course, SAP or Adidas or whatever comes to mind. But we like to think that every startup or every company has very interesting resources that you can use once you think about a problem, not just from one side, not just from the typical consultant point of view, but from the view of the Generation Z. What do social media influencers know about their customers that we can use? What do professors know about the whole market size, or what do they see in the future? And I think that's the very interesting part of it. Yeah.
Do you have an example of a project? I mean, you don't need to disclose the name of the company, but it would be super interesting just to hear, or like have a case study in what like the whole team of social media stars and influencers have done together.
Yeah, so for example, we worked with a very big newspaper agency, not agency, with a big newspaper, and they asked us how they can address the younger people more. And it was very interesting to see how open they were to our ideas. We made a workshop with them for several days. We would invite very, very young people and test different mediums with them. So we'd start with podcasts, we'd start with a little magazine, or we'd do kind of an Instagram account, video / interview section with the people that work there. And then we would just track how successful these ideas would perform in real life, and at the very end of it, they decided to go with one thing. And now we're working towards the implementation and towards working with the people that are already in the company, that know the product best, and that's how we work, for example.
Right. And you're doing this full time, or because I remember you said that you're still studying, right?
Yeah.
How do you time manage yourself? I mean, do you have any life hacks for us, or how do you do that?
So I'm still a student. I study economy and sinology, so Chinese studies basically, and it's for me it's very easy to study from anywhere, because Chinese vocabulary, you can just flick through them. Economy classes, you can just watch them online, and the university is very open with these new digital things. So I can definitely use that. Life hacks as in how to manage your time more wisely.
How to prioritize in all the projects.
So I'd say I have phases, like different phases in my life where I'm like, okay, these coming 2 months, I would focus on university, getting my getting through the whole I don't know, getting through the tests and stuff. And then I would be like, okay, and these coming 2 months, I would be just out and about giving talks, speeches, interviews, and then I would just change the topic to something different. I'd say that Co.design Factory, yeah, we have a new we have a new assignment or something coming up, or a new project, and I can say, yeah, I'm gonna work on this for the next 3 months. But it's a good thing when you're 4 founders, so you can just say, okay, Diana, you know you have to do this for now. I'm off. I need to do these other things. Yeah, they're very open. Yeah.
What advice would you actually give a college or like a university student or someone who's about to graduate and enter the real world? What would you tell them to do?
I would say just look for scholarships, look for conferences, look for different workshops, and really expand your network, because your idea that you're going to have later on, if you want to found a company, it's only as strong as your network. So work on that before you really get into the whole founding phase and trying to find out what idea fits you best. Just go there, mingle, network, go to hackathons, maybe get to know your future co-founder through that. Yeah.
I have just 2 more questions, and then I think we can open the floor for some questions from the audience.
Okay.
I'm a huge Gary Vee fan.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw that you have like this T3 magazine cover of yourself as well as Gary. What's the story behind that swap? Because I found it fantastic.
I found it fantastic as well. It came as a surprise. The T3N people were at the South by Southwest conference in the US, and they just came up to him and they were like, "Can you hold this cover up, please?" And then he did. And then several months later, he would be on the same cover. I'm like, I'm gonna do you an honor and hold your cover up in the same moment. So I just took a picture and put it side by side, and that's how.
Short story.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And just one last, not just an advice, but what would you like to see changed, or what would you like to change yourself in the world of startups and entrepreneurs?
I would say that I want to see more women on stage, because I remember when I was 15 or 16, I didn't even realize that all my role models were men until my sister was like, "Hey, there are other amazing women out there. You don't have to just copy men to be successful and to look successful." Because I remember distinctly that I started to wear turtlenecks. I started to wear like jeans just to look like Steve Jobs. And I was like, and she just saw me go down that path. She's like, "Hold on, I need to stop you right there." That's not how you. That's not how you become successful. It's just you can do it in a way that suits your personality more. So she started showing me Sheryl Sandberg, Marissa Mayer, and or for example Melinda Gates, and I was like, oh man, these women are awesome, and I just didn't see them so many times as I saw the other male founders, and I was like, why is that? Because they can do just as good, and they're just as interesting. Yeah.
I think you're in a good way to also become one of the fashionable influencers. Okay, guys. I also want to give you guys a chance to ask some questions. So we'll pass over the microphone to Verena. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and we'll give the microphone to you.
Yes. So I'm the running man.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the inspirational speech and talk. How do you decide? I guess you have plenty of opportunities to go in all directions right now and in the past too. How do you decide? How do you choose what's going to be your next project?
Mm-hmm. You mean with Co.design Factory or just
In general, everything.
Yeah. So most of the times people like write me an email and they're just like, hey, I have this idea, let me pitch it to you. And then they pitch it and I'm like, okay, sounds interesting, but I don't see you face to face. Like, you did not talk about yourself once, like what you do, what your background is. So what I really like is when people come up to me face to face and then I get to know them and what they're all about. And then through that, I decide whether I want to join a project or not, work with them for a longer while, because I believe that the team or like the individual itself is so much more telling than the business plan behind the project. Yeah, that's what I concentrate on, or that's what I focus on. Just like the workshop from before, they said the team is more important than the business plan itself in the first phase, and I've come to believe that that's true.
Hi, you wrote a book and I already bought it and I'm a big fan. And I'm wondering if you're going on a book publishing tour presenting your book, or can you talk about this?
Yes, sure. So the book is called Moneymakers. I specifically chose that title because I wanted it to be something simple and easy. I'm a very big fan of hip hop, and I would find out that they give you a lot of insight on how to handle your money through like these lyrics. You know, you have P. Diddy or I don't know, like Jay-Z or Kanye West talking about what to buy and to never leave and to, I don't know, just like these basic steps from Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I wanted to also write a book that would help young people that were going through the same phase like me, that wanted to learn how to trade, that wanted to learn more about, you know, stocks, that they have a book that they could just pick up and be motivated to read from beginning to end. So it's not like a dictionary. So it's not something you find at a university library. But it's rather something simple, something that has a lot of connections to the pop culture. So for example, I would explain why the stock of Snapchat would go up and down because of a comment from Kylie Jenner. And I think it's these connections that make you go like, oh yeah, the world is connected, and this whole trading thing, it's not something that I can't understand. It's something that I just have to work a little bit harder on or read a little bit more about it, and yeah, everybody can do it. So thank you for buying my book, and to answer your question, I want to go on tour soon, probably around February, when the whole book conference is on, and I would be very glad to see your face there as well.
Thank you very much for your talk and for your insights. Steve Jobs once said, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." And with all your experience and the people you saw and the role models you got to know, what would be your idea of what personality to be in this world, in this digitalized and startup world, to be successful and to strive for more?
So are you asking what my role model is at the moment and what I would
For example?
For example, okay. My role model at the moment. I mean, it's difficult to say. I would always opt for Bill Gates and Melinda Gates, because he just showed me that you can get into tech, you can be very successful at that, but you can always shift your focus to something completely different. So that's what he does with his foundation. And I visited the Seattle visitor center of the foundation, and they would have a very impressive way of showing what they've done, of showing and measuring the impact they have made through their donations and through their work. And Melinda Gates herself, she's a coder, and she's very interested, or she's very active in the scene of helping young girls learn how to code. I'd say that is a power couple to me, and they're very inspiring. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
So I wonder, how did you start acquiring customers with Co.design Factory, and what were some big challenges that you faced when you started it?
So that's a big challenge that I faced is that people didn't get the idea from just our website. They were like, oh, cool website, but I still don't get the idea. And I was like, man, I think this website is great. Like, look at all these explanations, look at the people. And from that feedback, I was like, okay, I need to change something in like how I pitched the whole project. So I started working on that. That was the very first step where I was like, oh, okay, I'm doing something wrong here. Just by the feedback of people. And then acquiring customers was very easy once you have a very personal connection. When you're at a conference and you talk about your company, always like maintain eye contact, have a very strong connection to what they're working on at the moment, and then be like, oh, and by the way, Co.design Factory is doing just that. We can help you with whatever you want. And I start getting projects from my network rather than through interviews or through media publications, whatever that is. It's always through that face-to-face connection that you have. So I say, go out, really talk to the people out there, get feedback, and I'd say the customers or the people that don't get your idea, those are the most valuable ones because they ask the tough questions where you have to think about how you portray yourself in the future. Yeah.
And actually, what changes did you make to the website for people to really understand the concept?
So the first few sentences were, I don't even remember the first few sentences that we had, but it was, they completely got on the wrong track. And I was like, are you like the next PwC? I was like, hell no, like they're doing amazing work, but we're not those. And we don't even stand in competition with them. I'm like, but you are consulting, no? I was like, yeah, but we're not consultants, we're startup experts, we're professors. We're doing this more on a, we're doing this more as a team. It's a team activity rather than I'm saying I'm a consultant. I'd say I'm a founder, I would say I'm a student, but I wouldn't say I'm a consultant. Yeah, so changes were made through the text.
Okay, so one last question.
Hello, thank you very much for your chat. It's not a really deep question, but I'm just curious, like, where did you get this book from when you were 14?
My sister is 6 years older than me. She's really interested in entrepreneurship as well. And she's also very interested in this, in the whole American culture and stuff. And she was like, dude, I read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's the secret to success. You have to read it. And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. She would always give me books, but she was also more into philosophy and stuff. I'm like, it's very heavy. I'm not ready to think about the meaning of life. She's like, no, this is about money. I was like, okay, I'll give this a try. So it was very short, and I just breezed through it in one day. It was very easy to even read through it because there were no complicated words. There are a lot of videos on YouTube explaining the whole thing as well. That's how I started with the book. Yeah.
May I just ask another question? Do you have any book recommendations or a specific book that you personally have gifted the most to others?
So the book I've given to others quite a lot is The Flinch by Julian Smith. It's for free. You can get it just by Googling the name of the book. And it's about conquering your fear. It's about conquering this feeling that you have right before you do something that's very uncomfortable, that makes you go, no, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not ready to take this step. It's about that feeling, and it's called the flinch. And I say that it's the most important thing in life to just be like, okay, I have this fear. Acknowledge the fear that you have, but then also be like, okay, I need to conquer this one. I need to find a way to conquer this fear. Even though it exists, I need to go out there. And the book has very cool, like, homework assignments, they call it. For example, when you go home, this is one of the homework assignments. When you go home, turn on the cold shower. Just let the water like flow right in front of your face, and turn it really, really cold, like to the whole other side. And then put your hand out and be like, okay, this is how cold the water is. Just test it out. And then you have this feeling of, oh my god, this is about the moment that you're gonna step into this shower. This is the moment that makes you laugh, that makes you go nervous, that makes you go sweaty, that makes you go maybe dance a little, or I don't know, have this feeling of, oh, I'm not ready, I don't know why I should do this. But then the book says, this cold shower doesn't kill you. This cold shower just shows you that you have a relevant fear, a fear that won't ever hurt you. And this fear, just conquer it by taking that step. Just be in the water. It will be very uncomfortable, but just for a minute. And after that minute, you'll get used to it. You'll adjust to the stream of the water. And that's when you know you're not gonna die next time you experience a flinch. Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, Aya, thanks a lot for all your great insights.
Thank you so much for
Obviously,
having me. Yes.
we also have a small present for you.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you all so much.
Thank you again for sharing all your insights. I think you will stay around if you want to ask her personal questions. We're going to do a little networking afterwards. We have just some final remarks and a big announcement. Okay, so we're taking over.
Okay, all right.
You can,
Thanks so much for your questions.
thank you
and
so
I'm here.
much. Please join me again.